I've just returned from holiday in Norfolk. Have a lot of lovely holidays there the past few years. Lots of family, going to the beaches, really nice. And I wanted to sort of do an embroidery. I've kind of been putting it off because when you want to do something that's actually a bit personal to you, you don't want to kind of mess it up and get it wrong. But I've done a few beach scenes recently in my little inches project, so I thought, yeah, I'm ready to do this now. We're going to start with a sort of heavy linen sandy colour base, and I've got this nice oval hoop that I'm going to work in and also probably leave it in the frame, so it's a beach hoop. It looks very smart. I do wish it was a little bit bigger, but oval hoops are quite hard to come by, I find. So we're going to have a neutral background, and I've been looking at my blues and I quite like this slightly mottled one for the sky, and then I want a really clear sort of distinction for where the sky meets the sea. The thing about this view is that there are wind turbines on the horizon, so I want to put those in as well. I've only got a little bit of this, but I think it is just enough. It's going to be tight, but I can use a bit of that. And then I really like this that I used in another piece. I don't know where it came from, but you can sort of see the sand through it, so it's like the sea coming up onto the beach. So very roughly that's going to be my layout. And then another thing which is sort of distinctive about the beaches is that they've actually got some sort of grassy areas on as well. This is why I wish my hoop was a bit bigger, because I'm going to try and fit quite a lot in. So near the front, I might even attach it to the front of the hoop. We're going to do some grasses on just a thin, might see if I've got a non-shiny bit of organza. Grasses at the front to kind of give it a bit more depth. So let's cut some pieces, and like I said, I'm going to work with it in this hoop because I'm going to frame it in the hoop, so that's all good. So I've arranged it in my frame, and it already sort of looks like a beach scene. You don't have to do much more. So kind of do as little or as much as you want. Is it slightly wonky? A little bit. It is held in place by the frame, but I am going to do some slow stitching for detail really, and obviously that's the fun bit, just adding different stitches. So I've got a mid sort of blue for the sea and a lighter one, and I want to bring the sand to life a little bit, so I think we're just going to do tiny seed stitches in different colours. You could do French knots. I feel like they might be a little bit big. I might try singular strand French knots. And then for the grass, I've sort of got these faded greens, which I'm quite liking, or these faded greens, which is a completely different colourway. I'm thinking these. The grass that is there is not fresh, it's sort of very desert-like. So I want some faded greens, and these all go nicely together, but I'm not liking them with the rest of the palette. So a bit of brown, green, maybe a slightly bit of fresher green as well, which will come in at the front. And then in the distance we're going to have, there's about 20 wind turbines, but I'm going to just maybe do 3 or 4, just to give it an idea. So we've got some greys for that. I'm going to see if I can straighten it up a little bit, because that's annoying me. I can see it hanging on my wall just being crooked the whole time, and that's not going to be good. So I'm going to straighten it up, and then we will get on with just some very simple, probably running stitch, maybe some back stitch in lines. I'm not really going to create waves, but I'm not going to be worried about it being dead straight. Obviously you can see the top line there is not really that straight, and this isn't straight and it's fraying. That's just fine. added a little bit of interest on the sand. I might still add a bit more. I want to break it up a little bit. But now I thought I would attempt some wind turbines. They are in the distance, so they don't have to be very detailed. And I was going to go for grey, but having looked at some pictures, they've got like a yellow base. Not quite sure whether that's... They're based on sandbanks, so I'm not sure if that's sort of to blend in with the sandbanks. And then they're white, but I might add a little bit of shadowy grey on it as well. I've also got this bit of matted ends of fabric. Let's come off fabric, and I might just add some little bit more interest in the water as well. And then we're going to have a go at our grasses, which I think I might bring up the sides so it's though you're looking from a distance. You get the foreground and then into the distance, which we will see, because I don't know how that's going to work yet. So I'm going to start with a little bit of yellow, and I think we'll just go for 3. Could go, I don't know, 5. I think it'd probably be too much unless we did sort of 3 in the back, 2 slightly further forward. 3s and odd numbers tend to be very pleasing to the eyes, so you will see things, if you're thinking about composition, 3 things or cutting things into thirds often works really well. Got a big shadow there, haven't I? Let's start with one in the middle. It'll actually almost come up from under the water. I'll leave that there and maybe work with it again in a minute, if this goes okay. Okay, so we really don't want them that tall because they're going to come out as well. I want them almost coming to a point, but not completely triangular. I don't know. I'm going to go over that, stitch a little bit. Come down over there. I think that's okay. It's going to have like a little circle in the middle, maybe a French knot, and then I was thinking maybe filled lazy daisies for the propellers. This is very experimental. Yeah, it's looking good. Right, lazy daisies, or just straight stitches. Let's try do one going up and we'll see what it looks like. a bit of a wider base than the point. Don't put it too tight because I want that kind of shape. Yeah, I think that might work. I think 3 blades. I think I called them propellers a minute ago. I think they're called blades. So we'll try and have each one having slightly different positioning. Try and get them about the same size. There we go. Quite happy with that, I think. I'm going to do a couple more. It is very white, so I think we will add just a little bit of colour to that as well, because they're not that clean. Now I've added a little bit of sort of decoration to the water, some of my mixed up threads there, just repurposed them, and added an extra little tuft of the background. So it is sort of coming together, but I've decided I don't really like my windmills. And I've been trying to live with them, but as this is like going to go on my wall and remind me of all my nice holidays, I do want it to be, I'm not going to settle for those. And I've been trying to think what it is. I think part of the fact is they're white. I've looked at pictures and they are white, but just they don't seem, when you're looking at them, to stand out quite as much as these white ones do here. So I'm going to take them out. I'm going to do them grey, and I think the lazy daisies are just too sort of cute looking. I need a slightly sharper look to them, and maybe slightly smaller, I'm not sure. They're quite a big thing on the horizon, but they don't need to be quite so big on the embroidery. That is my conclusion of why I'm not super happy with them. So I'm going to take those out and try again, and hopefully I'll be happy with them, because they're kind of important. I don't want to not do them, because that would make the horizon, the view that I'm sort of picturing, just not the right view. It could be anywhere. So I'm going to try again with those. And then the last thing I'm going to do is some sort of grasses going up the side to try and create the depth of the foreground, the middle ground and the background. I'm back with the wind turbines redone. I'm feeling a lot happier about those. I've done them a little bit smaller as well, so they're a bit further in the distance. And they're grey. And I think I'm happy with that now. Now I was going to do some grass, and I was thinking these faded colours, but I think actually I might go with some slightly bolder greener ones, because the whole piece is looking a little bit sort of faded and washed out, and I want to bring a little bit more colour in. So we might go for those. Now I've been working a lot with organza recently, and I think this is what I want to do. I'm going to sew some grass separately on organza, cut it out, and then piece it on going over the frame as well. You don't have to do this. You could very easily just put some tufts of grass coming up sort of from the frame, or maybe even sewing over the bottom. I've seen that done before. So we'll have to finish the back of the hoop really before adding the last bit on. But the good thing about sewing it on the separate pieces, then I can position it where I want as well without disturbing this fabric anymore. So I've got a very light green. You could just use a neutral colour or a white even. I'm hopefully going to cut quite close to the edge when we're cutting it out, so you won't get too much green on top, but actually it won't matter too much even if you do. This is very slippery stuff, so I'm not even sure it's going to stay in my hoop. I've got to be a little bit careful pulling it tight, because it is very delicate. I have done a little bit of stitching on my organza. Now apparently instead of cutting it out, you could cut it out, but apparently you can melt it out. So I've not tried this technique before, so I've got a needle attached to my pencil. I'm going to heat up my needle. Ooh, it's gone black immediately. Does that mean it's hot? I'm not sure. It's just, oh yeah, goes right in real quick, but only one little touch, only one melt. Okay, that's quite dirty. Good to know. Let's try it one more time. So what this does is this seals the stitching as well as cutting it out. I'm a little bit scared. We'll see if it works any better than cutting. I don't know. Obviously be very careful. So using a flame. And as soon as it kind of starts to drag, heat it up again. So you've really only got a couple of seconds where it's hot. There we go, it's coming out. little recce needle, obviously. This is the finished piece without the grass, and I really like it as it is, but I do think it needs something. I had a little bit of a wobble sort of positioning my grass, like, is it too much? What do we think? But I do like it. For me, the grass is part of the image I was trying to create, so I could have obviously sewn it onto the piece, but I really wanted to sort of try and get it to look like it was in a different place. So the grass is at the front, then you've got the sea, the sand and the sea, and then the background you've got the wind turbines. So I think we are ready. It does look very different with these on, but I think I'm going to go for it. And just use a little bit of glue to glue them on. There we go, just need that to dry.